Today we're going to talk about coffee storage and freshness. Now we get a lot of questions from our customers, and I've learned quite a few things in the past about proper coffee storage. Did a little bit more research and got some more interesting tidbits for you. One of the things to understand about a coffee bean is coffee bean after it's roasted is hygroscopic, and what that means is it takes on and expels water. You know, the moisture and air flows through it like a sponge. And to understand how closely it really does relate to a sponge, take a look at this picture of a coffee bean under an electron microscope. So you see all those voids in there, it looks just like a sponge, right? And so those water molecules and vapor move all the way through there. There are four basic things that kill the flavor of coffee. One of them is direct sunlight, moisture, oxygen, and heat. What happens with the direct sunlight? It's the most damaging to a whole bean. And what happens is the UV light hits the outside of the bean where all the sugars are congregated on the outside, and it'll spoil it. It'll turn rancid. The moisture, because it moves through the bean, moisture will carry other flavors with it. So it'll go inside the bean, and that'll ruin it as well. When you roast a coffee bean, it starts out at 10 to 12% moisture content. But it's only about a third of that after it's roasted. It's like 4 or 5% moisture content. So it's like a really dry sponge when it first comes out of the roaster. So the most important thing to do with whole beans, especially if you're a roaster, there's a lot of different theories out there about how long to let the beans set, before you package them. Package them right away. Now, why would we want to do that? As it off-gasses, it takes the flavor with it. So the faster we package it, the more we're going to contain those flavors in there. It's why we really recommend people package in packages with a gas valve. Because remember, oxygen is one of the things that kills coffee flavor, that will turn it rancid. So if you package your coffee right away, as soon as it's cooled out of the cooling tray, you package it, seal it, and then the carbon dioxide, when it's off-gassing, it pushes the oxygen out of the bag. And so inside, you're basically packaging your bag in their own fragrances, right? That's what happens. So it'll stay a lot sooner. One of the reasons I like these pouches is they have a resealable lid on them on the very top. And so when you take some beans out, you squeeze the oxygen out, seal them, and then squish everything out of the package that you can. That's why we recommend these for the best flavor. On ground coffee is different. Now, if you look at that picture again, let's pull up that picture again of the coffee bean under electron microscope. As soon as you grind the bean, some people say it's like a minute and the flavor's gone. Well, think of it as a balloon with a fragrance inside, maybe some perfume. If you pop that balloon, then it evaporates very quickly. So that's why we recommend always, people have whole bean coffee, because the whole bean at least provides some protection, and it will off-gas slower. So if you're going to package ground coffee, you grind it and package it and seal it immediately, and only use bags with a gas valve. If you're using another type of a bag, like here's a small one of the regular paper ones or the craft ones that you get that just have the metal tie on the top, that's no protection. It'll lose its flavor in 2 or 3 days and go downhill from there. If you're packaging whole bean coffee, because it does off-gas a lot slower, you can actually package it in what used to be one of my favorites, is the Ziploc plastic bag. We get these 8 by 10 inch 8 mil plastic bags, and they work good for whole bean. Carrie and I did some experiments, and we sealed some ground coffee directly after grinding and roasting, and it didn't take very long before the bag blew up. And that's why when you buy coffee that's already pre-ground, that does not have a gas valve, then it is going to be stale when you get it. Why? Because they off-gas the carbon dioxide, they allowed the oxygen to go in there, and when it stopped off-gassing and it became inert and neutral, you're now packaging stale coffee. The last question that we get a lot is to freeze or not to freeze. I would say for storing coffee beans in the Ziploc bags with a gas valve, absolutely you can freeze, and this is why. When you put something in the freezer, the reason that it turns a locker burn. A locker burn after a while is because the cold air is dry, right? So you open the freezer, humid air rushes in, it goes and sticks to anything that it can, and it'll turn the food bad. But if you're in a sealed pouch, it's absolutely fine. So remember, coffee, store it in a opaque or solid container. Cool temperatures, because the cooler the temperature of the bean, the less it makes it off gas, and make sure to keep it dry. And that's it. So that's kind of the scoop on freezing. Do not freeze ground coffee, because remember, it's all wide open, right? And it's going to take on, as soon as you open the freezer, open the pouch, it's going to take on the taste of anything that's in there. Do not put ground coffee in the freezer. Whole bean's okay.